So language is a very important tool. Welcome to another edition of Oral Tradition. And let's welcome again Professor David Dabydeen and Mia, the head of the Confucius Institute of University of Guyana. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the 10th anniversary of the Confucius Institute of the University of Guyana. Landmark, it's a big landmark, and we should celebrate it. How are we celebrating this landmark?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say it's a long-time preparation to the celebration of the 10th anniversary. Actually, I have been here last year in August. Since I have been here, I have started to organize a series events with the collaboration of my local director, Al Creighton. He's a big helper in helping us to organize the things. And we started by first establish the alumni club. We are trying to find out our previous students, and we hope every student can come back and enjoy this big party. That is the first thing we want to do. And secondly, we want our CIUG can develop steadily and also can be committed to the local teaching in the not only to the University of Guyana but also to the local communities. So now we started some teaching programs like a local teacher training program. We want to just promote the teaching system and also find more teaching talents for the future. So only in this way we can expand the influence of the Chinese language in this country. And more importantly, we focus on the Chinese teaching to help students to pass the Chinese language proficiency test. That is what we call HSK. So we try to perfect our teaching contents and adjust some curriculum and to make the students can get used to the HSK test. So only in this way we can find more students with top proficiency to study in China to try to get some scholarship. And all this will prepare and will be contributing to our future development.
That's quite a mouthful. Thanks. David, your involvement with the Confucius Institute.
Yes, I created it. When I was in China in 2010 to 2015, my first official visit was to the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, which has the same status as a ministry. And when I went, I presented them with about 25 brand new books in Caribbean history and Caribbean literature. Because when you first go to China, you must give a gift.
Yes.
Because I know that I'm asking them for aid for the ferries and aid for the East Coast Demerara Road and so on, but let me give you a gift first. And then I told them that I was very keen in setting up a Confucius Institute at the University of Guyana because there was already one in Jamaica. And so they introduced me to Han Ban, which is part of the Ministry of Education in China, responsible for the creation of Confucius Institutes. So the director of Han Ban said to me, go to different universities in China and choose a university that you think would be most appropriate to be in Guyana at the University of Guyana. So I went and I visited about 5 or 6 universities, and then eventually decided that Maya's university in Dalian, the Dalian University of Foreign Language, was the best, was the most suitable for us. And so we forged that relationship. And then in 2014, MOUs were signed between the University of Guyana and Dalian University. I visited Dalian University. The Minister of Culture, Frank Anthony, came to China to celebrate the 40th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Guyana and the People's Republic of China. And he visited Hanban. as a minister as well as Dalian University, and that gave a lot of support to me. That was very weighty to have a minister of culture coming all the way from Guyana. So they knew, the Chinese knew we were very serious. So in May 2014,
14.
the Confucius Institute was officially established.
So Maya, let's look back to your achievement over these 10 years.
Actually, I can say for the CIUG, since the first day we have founded, we started sufficient training programs. I still remember when I combed all the history of CIUG. I'm really proud of that. The first landmark can flash back to the 2016 in September. We first set up a teaching program with the collaboration of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and we have enrolled 46 government officials from Ministry of Foreign Affairs, from the Office of President and Minister Office, and also from the agriculture, from GRA, from police force. So all the people are from different departments. So it is our first landmark. And now I think already 8 years have passed. Everyone in their department they still have a really good master of Chinese. So I think that is the first thing we are really proud of. And we just finished another thing is we have 2 batches of language teaching programs with the help of our Faculty of Humanities in the UG. We set up 2 batches of classes for the police force. So you can know sometimes on the street,
Really
if you
spreading
see
your
the
wings.
sometimes when I walking on the street, some police will say hello, 你好 in Chinese. That kind of pride will give us a special reward about our field, our working in this past 10 years.
May I add something about Confucius? Why I was happy to be associated with Confucius is because he was the great Chinese philosopher. He was this conscience of the nation, the moral conscience of the nation.
Yeah.
He lived 2,500 years ago. And he came up, I think he was one of the first philosophers to come up with the golden rule. You know the golden rule, capital G, capital R, which is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. He put it in different words, but that's what he meant, right? So he's saying peace and love, harmony in the society, emphasis on social development, on good rulership, and on stability, social stability, caring for the poor. So that's one aspect of Confucius. But the other aspect which interested me was his emphasis on the importance of the arts. Music, he said music unites the heavens and the earth.
Ooh,
And then
nice.
poetry. So I was drawn to his passion for promoting the arts. And so that's Confucius. And so I spent a bit of time as a result of that reading Chinese literature in translation. So I enjoyed vastly reading Li Bai, the great poet in the 8th century. I think he was born in 700. He wrote beautiful poems in praise of wine. Yes.
Yes.
The deliciousness and the virtues of wine.
Wine.
And then he also, and I remember one story, because he was so big and respected in China, that when the emperor summoned him, he said, "Tell the emperor I'm drinking. I will come another day." Normally you'd be executed for that. Then his friend and more moderate man was Du Fu, who
Another poet,
had
is it?
a poet who had an abiding concern for the plight of soldiers suffering in wars. He wrote many poems about the plight, the distress and the trauma of war, and how it impacted on ordinary people. He had a passion and an empathy for ordinary people. So if we know if we learn Du Fu and Li Bai, if we learn about them in Chinese literature, you will find that we are aspiring. Our values are the same as their values, which is why I drink red wine.
David, I'm really getting into this now, especially when you talk about the literature, the poetry, right? Because this program is about literature. Maya, your take on the literature, Chinese literature?
My take?
Yeah.
What your opinion of
What's your opinion?
Of course, the long-standing Chinese culture and literature is one of the essence of the China, and we are since our childhood we started to learn everything, and we have been benefited not only from the beauty of the literature, but also like Professor David have mentioned, the essence, the philosophy, everything in it. So it shaped every Chinese nationals. So now, that is another, just now we talk about the future of CIUG. We do hope in the future we can not only teach language, we can also share the Chinese literature, poetry, and to the people here.
and a lot of Chinese literature written in Mandarin and other languages are being translated into English. One of the
good.
most famous translators in China, Professor, we call him Hoover, Professor Hu, but his English name is Hoover. He is a real pioneer of translation of Chinese texts into English. So say Mo Yan, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature, when I was there, he is in English. His work are in English. And if anybody wants to come to Chinese literature, I would recommend start with a collection of short stories by Mo Yan. And it's easily available on Amazon and elsewhere.
Okay.
He's what's called a magical realist, almost like a psychedelic kind of writing. So you'd hear about I read a story about a woman in a bus, and she didn't want to leave the bus, and the officials were telling her to leave the bus, something like that. She ended up sitting at the top of a tree just by magic and quarreling with them. It's superb writing, yes. Hugely enjoyable and beautifully phrased. So there's a link between Li Bai and Du Fu and Mo Yan, Nobel Prize winner of literature.
And you've done a lot of reading of Chinese literature.
Yes, everyone should in China. For our Chinese courses from the very beginning, we got the courses for Chinese literature learning. Yeah.
A favorite poet?
Yes,
Oh, yes, so go on.
Yeah, just actually my master degree deals with the drama part.
Whoa.
So I've seen this drama, and that is another dream of CIUG. We hope we can just make a drama festival.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our creator also said so. He,
Well, he's into drama.
yeah,
a
he's
lot.
really master
Right,
in this
yeah.
field. So we are thinking, we are hoping one day we can make this dream come true. Like that.
That would be historic, actually. A Chinese play in English,
Yeah. Different one?
staged in Guyana.
We hope we can do that.
Yeah. Anyone in particular? Any dramatist, any playwright that you think?
In China,
Yeah.
actually,
That's-
I really like Yu Hua. Yu Hua. Yu Hua is actually a good friend of Mo Yan, and he has written long novels. And I almost covered each novel, and I read it with the afterthought. So that's why, and also I have to be honest. My son influenced me in his novels. He loves. He's a really big fan of Yu Hua, and that is. He has written something about the real China and some modern, and not only modern but also rural parts of China. So he depicts China with his delicate writing phrases and very passionate emotions. So,
A good way to learn a language, a foreign language, is through song and movies. I can see this language catching on, Maya. All good wishes to you and the Institute.